Hey everybody, welcome to LĒVO Live on Facebook. I'm gonna wait for some people to show up here as we are live. Hello, hello. If you are watching me live in the comments, totally let me know where you are tuning in from. Let me know if you already have a LĒVO. I get really amped up by your comments, so say hi as you're tuning in here. I'm just gonna keep an eye on things and let some people tune in. Today we are using our LÄVO II Infuse honey. So I'm gonna be using this honey today, a nice viscous honey. Hi, awesome. I see some people tuning in. This is perfect. So Kat from LÄVO here. Hopefully you have RSVP'd to this, and because you want to know how to infuse honey into your LÄVO infusion machine. I'm Kat from LÄVO. I am here to tell you exactly that. I'm also here to let you know that there's a sale still running on LÄVOs, 30% off in our Facebook shops to our US residents. We have many colors of LÄVO. I've got like a green one there, black, cream, red, blue, other green, lots of colors. This is a limited edition pink that we are selling out of quickly. 30% off all our LÄVOs, all our kits, and starting a couple days ago through the end of this month, 40% off our kitchen sink kit. That kit has almost everything we sell, so everything I'm talking about today is in the kitchen sink kit, including our edible mixes. We have got brownie mixes for making magical brownies. And if you're new to LÄVO, I will go over all of this. Make your own magical gummies at home. Save money. Don't go to the store. Make it at home with LÄVO. LÄVO is a 3-in-1 all infusion device for anyone who doesn't know. It dries herbs, activates or decarboxylates them. I'm going to say activate for the remainder of this video, but it means decarb. And it infuses any herb, wink, into any oil, butter, honey, carriers of your choice, even glycerin. And that's what we're here for. So let me know. I think we have a poll that we might do. There's shopping happening. There's like products that are going to be pinned at the bottom here. And then there's also going to be polls that pop up. So let me know if you've ever infused honey before. Awesome. Josh says he has a kitchen sink and can't believe how much it came with. I love that. Bill loves his LÄVO. Thank you so much. Hi, Rhonda from Georgia. Hey, Kimberly from North Carolina. And you just received yours today. Oh my gosh. Well, I'm not going to go through all these comments, but thank you so much for commenting. Thank you for tuning in. We're going to have customer service agents in the chat helping anyone with questions. And this live, I'm specifically going to go over how to infuse honey in your LÄVO, because in our LÄVO Love Club, which is our private Facebook group, this how to infuse honey gets asked, I would say, once a week. Also, use the search bar in the LÄVO Love Club if you ever want to know anything about LÄVO. Someone's probably asked it, because that club has 12,000 members in it, and it's been going on for years. So there are LÄVO experts who I'm sure know more about infusing than even I do in there. And that's where a lot of these tips and tricks about infusing honey have come from. If you don't yet have a LÄVO, one more time, these are 30% off to US residents on Facebook shops and Instagram shops just through the end of this month. It's ending soon. And the kitchen sink comes with like everything you see here. And that is 40% off. So almost half off, free shipping on everything over $100. Get it? Let's get into infusing honey, guys. So a lot of people, so why don't I just tell you, you can infuse honey in a LÄVO. You're going to want to do it at about 105 degrees. You can do it from 90 degrees to 105 degrees. For, let's see, if it's higher temperature, you'll do shorter time. So if you're infusing at 105 degrees, I would say 2 to 3.5 hours, infuse your herbs in your honey. The reason you don't want to go longer when you're infusing honey is because heating honey does expedite its aging process. It doesn't get toxic, it doesn't get bad for you, it just gets darker and thicker. It turns into like molasses or like a caramel. You know, when you have honey that's been sitting in the shelf for a while and it starts to crystallize. There's nothing bad about it. It's not bad for you. Honey is incredibly naturally antibacterial. So bacteria can't grow inside of honey that's on your shelf. But when it crystallizes, you can just put it in a warm water bath and eventually it'll cool out. That's just why we don't want you to infuse for too long in your LÄVO. We don't want the honey to boil. It will just get impossible to work with, and it degrades the taste too. But that is a myth that heating honey to any degree makes it toxic, but it is just a myth because inside of honey combs, where the bees are making their honey, it actually gets up to 95 degrees. Oh gosh, and then if it's summer outside and it's like 100 degrees outside, it probably gets even hotter in there. And when you buy honey like this, that is viscous and it's not raw and creamy and thick, like straight from the hive. When you buy honey like this from the store, it's already been heated up just to get into the packaging. So just to dispel that rumor, you can absolutely heat honey. You can absolutely use special medicinal flower in your honey as well. That's why most people are here. That's why most people use LÄVO. Facebook and Instagram have been sponsoring these sales that we're doing, and we are so grateful to them because we are an incredibly small business. We are a woman-owned, woman-invented, very small business. If you've written to customer service, chances are I've answered that ticket, or one of my coworkers has answered that ticket. We all are very hands-on. So Meta's sponsoring the sale, but Meta does have regulations. I can't say a lot of words. So that's why you're just gonna have to wink along with me for what we are infusing in this honey into LÄVO today and what LÄVO's for. Now, a lot of you connoisseurs of medicinal flower might think, hey, doesn't medicinal flower need a fat to bind to in order to infuse? That's why you can't infuse flower into water, for example. You're just gonna get like a floaty mess. And that's absolutely true. So honey, what we like to do for honey is add lecithin. Lecithin is an emulsifier. That means it binds oil and water essentially together, but it also binds flower to honey. So we're gonna do, if I was doing a full 2-cup reservoir in here, I'd probably use 2 teaspoons of this lecithin. Today I'm just gonna do a little infusion. I actually did an infusion on Instagram on Wednesday, and this is how my herb infused honey came out. I'm just gonna do another little bit of the same exact infusion today. That way I can just fill up this little Tupperware I have here. All right, and so inside my LÄVO to get started, and again, these are 30% off through Meta. You can shop the sale. There's gonna be products pinned right here. What you're gonna do inside this LÄVO, top to top, is a reservoir. And LÄVO is the only infusion machine that has these dishwasher safe parts, that is patented, that requires no straining, and is really smell proof, especially for those of you who are into LÄVO for that special flower. So when you get your LÄVO, you're gonna take everything out, you're gonna turn your machine on to take it out, but you're gonna wash everything. Now, I just did this infusion on Wednesday, and I haven't put my LÄVO back together, actually. So I'm taking the drain tube, and you're gonna watch me put my LÄVO back together. Taking the drain tube, popped it on. LÄVO is the only infusion method that dispenses. So again, I'm gonna turn it on. LÄVO is replacing stovetop, oven methods, crock pot methods, soy milk makers, all the funny things that people have been infusing with over the year, and those have done the trick, but they usually make your house smelly, and they're usually a lot of work to physically strain through a cheesecloth all your herbs and things like that. So LÄVO just streamlines the process, makes it very, very easy, fits on your countertop, is truly all in one. So I'm gonna press a reservoir release button here. It opens the valve tube, and there's a hole down there for this drain tube. Pop! That pops in. This is gonna automatically close all by itself. I don't have to do anything. And then I'm gonna be using 2 power pods inside this reservoir. And I'm gonna go a little quick because we've done a lot of Facebook Lives, a lot of Instagram Lives over what is LÄVO, how does it activate or decarb, how does it dry herbs, and we've kind of gone over that. Today I really wanna focus on how to infuse honey for you guys because it's such a popular topic. So inside my 2 pods, a lot of our kits, like the Ultimate Kit, Kitchen Sink Kit, come with an extra pod. I have, I want you to be able to see this. I have these family-friendly herbs at the bottom. Now, if I wanted to make a full 2 cups, these would both be filled to the top, but they're both filled to about here with chamomile, honeybush, peppermint, and eucalyptus. This is the same blend that I used on Wednesday on Instagram. I actually loved it so much that I'm doing it again. So you get your 2 pods. LÄVO comes with 1 pod. So if you're shopping the 30% off sale and you're not getting the 40% off kitchen sink or the 30% off ultimate kit and you're like, I just want a LÄVO, I would say at least get yourself a spare parts kit. That way you get an extra power pod for increased strength. That's another word for potency that I'm going to use. You get a whole other reservoir, a whole other drain tube, and a whole other magnetic stirrer. So the magnetic stirrer is what we're going to use while we infuse, and I'm going to put it right in the middle there. It magnetically snaps to the bottom. All right, so I've got 1 here. If you have infused with LÄVO before, you're going to notice, well, maybe you won't notice. I haven't said this yet. I'm not putting this little silicone pad that we usually use when we're decarbing or drying, activating or drying. I usually put that, we always say to put that at the bottom of your pod if you're going to be heating these without oil. So that's the, close this, this has a dry cycle and an activate cycle. Those 2 cycles, you don't put any liquid into the reservoir yet. That either activates or like makes your flour work. That's the cycle you need that maybe in the past you've done in the oven and it was very sticky. That really keeps that inside the LÄVO. We have a default setting that works beautifully. So I'm skipping that because I'm using family-friendly herbs, and because I'm not doing any dry cycle, I don't need this protector pad at the bottom. This keeps your herbs from burning during those cycles. But since I'm going straight into a honey infusion, I don't need that pad at the bottom. And because honey is so, thick, there are holes at the bottom of these power pods too. I just want the honey to get all up in there. All right, so I'm just gonna open this up. LÄVO is so easy to use. I have my 2 pods for increased potency of my honey. I'm plopping 1 in where it says place pod here, and I'm gonna see if I can even take you for a ride with me so that you can really see, especially for our new LÄVO users out there. All right, so here's where I press that reservoir release to take the reservoir out and pop it back in. Here is the place pod here section where I put that first pod. Anytime you're using a second pod, you want to put it on the same side as the lid. And the reason, thanks for bearing with me, the reason I want to do that is because this is the thermometer. This keeps your temperature really steady during infusion, and I want that to be able to close and not hit a power pod right there. So for anyone wanting to use the double pod method, do it on the lid side. Josh wants to know, can you specify, does the pad go under the pod? I can totally specify because I have another one that's empty right here. If you were infusing flour and you wanted to activate the flour, or if you had basil from your garden, parsley, rosemary, and you wanted to dry it with our dry cycle, the reservoir in here, this is like a little oven and it's gonna get hot. And especially when you're activating, we do not want that flour to burn. So this goes inside, it fits perfectly like this. Boop. Okay, let me show you. Without metal, with, of course, because there we go. Now, it fell over. It just balances, it just sits right inside. Then you would put your herb in. Herbs. A note about grinding your herbs, or how fine or not fine to put your herbs when it's flour. So I'm using, herbs that were already dried and pretty fine, and I did not have to grind anything. But part of what's in here is chamomile, and I'm looking at my little chamomile dish right now because I think chamomile is like the perfect size. Can you see this little chamomile? This is a chamomile flower. And when you buy flour from certain stores and it's in like a chunk, you can absolutely just break that up by hand. I'll give you another little chamomile flower example. There we go. Oh, it works on the shirt. Can you see that? I think this is perfect. You actually don't want to grind finer than this for honey or any other LÄVO infusion. And of course, LÄVO has these very tiny perforated pods. You can kind of see my finger inside there. They're very tiny. What this does, and the reason you don't want to grind too fine, is because flour especially is like dusty. Now the dust can totally come through the holes. You actually don't want to like blend your flour in with oil because it's just adding a lot of chlorophyll. Chlorophyll makes your infusions darker, whereas LÄVO infusions, this just came out of my fridge, so it's like a little, it's nice and liquidy. This is a true flower infusion that I did the other day. It was MCT oil, so we sell MCT oil. This was a clear liquid, and then I used double pod, 2 full pods with 2 cups of oil. This is how my infusion came out, and it is pretty dark, I feel like, on screen, but in person, it's actually like a very golden amber color when I look at it like this. Versus other infusion methods that have a lot of particles in them and are very dark, like a very dark green, that can actually upset your stomach and also make it harder for your body to digest and feel strength in your, edible and shareable creations because there's just so much plant matter in there. Whereas with LÄVO, the only device that has pods like this, the plant matter that you don't need stays inside, and then the plant matter that you want in your oil and butter comes out. This magnetic stirrer that I said was inside the reservoir, I can actually totally show you guys. Pop some lids out of there. So this is what's inside the LÄVO. The magnetic stirrer sits right in the middle, right where that circle is, and LÄVO is so quiet, also compared to other infusion methods, very quiet. This just like gently will stir. Every few minutes or so, you'll kind of hear your LÄVO hum and go, and that's just this stir. It doesn't add air, it doesn't aerate your infusions. And what that's doing is helping the shelf life of your infusion. If you were to like whisk an infusion and add air bubbles into that, it actually degrades the shelf life of your infusions. So that's why LÄVO uses this magnetic stirrer that is very gentle. There's also, as you can see, no blades inside of a LÄVO. Other infusion methods are basically soy milk makers and they have a blade inside of them and it's chopping up the plant matter with the oil and butter. LÄVO is so gentle, and that's why it's really chef preferred. Not only for special flour, I have done garlic basil infusions, parsley infusions. This gentle method of almost like a slow cooker, but keeping the plant material separate from the oil and not having it all mixed in there and then dispensing cleanly is so nice to cook with or just spread on toast, or drop a dollop into honey. It's just a very clean and lovely flavor. If you are just joining us again, we are going over how to do a honey infusion with LÄVO. So I did some earlier. I'm taking a nice kind of viscous honey, and I'm infusing it with chamomile, peppermint, eucalyptus, and honeybush. I already have my pods filled with herb inside. It is 30% off on Facebook Shops and 40% off our kitchen sink just through the end of the month. So it is almost done with this sale. So we definitely, if you think you want a LÄVO, get it now. LÄVOs have a 30-day return policy. So if you're interested in herbal infusion, now is the time. All right, I'm gonna pop my honey in. And again, we are going to infuse at 105 degrees. I'm gonna do 2.5 hours. I did 3 hours on Wednesday, and I actually think that at 105 degrees, I probably could have not even infused for that long because it did get a little dark. I wonder if I can take you with me and do this at the same time. So, in the reservoir here, what you want to do, if this was oil, butter, and herbs, anything at all, it just plops right in there, You just want to make sure that the herb inside your pod is going to be completely submerged, totally covered by whatever liquid medium you have. And the reason is because if it's not covered, it's going to burn. Let's see. I know it's dark there. I'm just going to make sure I have enough honey, maybe another dollop, covering my herbs. That's true of any herb type, any liquid medium that you are infusing. Make sure, so I only filled my pods up a little bit earlier with my family-friendly herbs, and then I tried to fill it up to the little LÄVO logo so that it's completely submerged and covered by the honey in there. That way also when it spins, it's like really getting into all the nooks and crannies of my infusion. And honestly, that's it, guys. 105 degrees. So if we were infusing flour, I said earlier, I would do, especially for this, like a halfway filled reservoir, I would do like a teaspoon of lecithin. And also, I love this hack. You can add coconut oil, MCT oil, or butter directly into the reservoir. And if you were doing flour, I would say totally put like a tablespoon in there. What I'm going to do, I'm going to add a tablespoon or maybe just a teaspoon of our coconut oil to my honey infusion. Even though they're family-friendly herbs, I think the coconut oil or butter helps soften the honey. And there we go. And just like really get into all the nooks and crannies of my herbs inside the pod. Come on, little buddy. This is obviously easier when it is liquid. I love the suggestion that one of our LÄVO Love Club fan members wrote in our private Facebook group. They said before you use lecithin, because lecithin is super sticky like molasses, they like to take MCT oil, take the top off, and dunk their teaspoon into the MCT oil, just coat it, and then they pour the lecithin into their teaspoon, and it just makes it a lot easier to plop out. So thank you to the LÄVO Love Club member who suggested that. I have totally stolen it and have since done it for myself. Please let me know if you have any questions at all in the comments. I've got my customer service team flagging questions for me, and I'd be happy to answer them. That's why we're live. And that's it. I know, it's like it's so simple. We're just gonna close the lid. And again, why don't I bring you closer so you can see really how LÄVO works and how simple this is. So I'm just gonna go to my infuse cycle. I did say 2 hours, so let's do maybe 2.5. 10, I went too fast. You don't have to hold it down like I did. Let me go, let me try to get back down to 230. How about 245? That's great. And LÄVO is the only machine where you can truly customize, look at that, down to the temperature. 105 is what I want to infuse my honey at. You can absolutely go down to 90 degrees and infuse for, let's say, 3 to 5 hours. There it goes. That's it. That's how easy LÄVO is to use. It is now on. It is silent. It is smell proof. It is truly that easy. Awesome, Donna. Donna asks, does the storage of the honey change after the addition? How do you store it after it's infused? After honey is infused, because honey is naturally antibacterial, you still don't have to put it in the fridge. You can absolutely leave this stored. I keep my honey in this cupboard, cool, dark place for months. Adding herbs to the honey doesn't mean that it will go bad, because honey contains so many antimicrobial enzymes naturally in it, and that's why honey doesn't go bad, even if it's unpasteurized raw honey when you get it from the beehive. That's why you can just keep it in your cupboard and it doesn't go bad. It's also because honey doesn't contain any water. So without water, mold cannot grow. That's pretty awesome. So I'm totally leaving this honey out. I will say, if you're doing honey butter, which you can absolutely do 50-50 inside the LÄVO. 1 cup honey, 1 cup butter. Let's say you wanted to do a vanilla, cinnamon, even with flour honey butter inside of your LÄVO. I would suggest, oh, I always lose my pods every time. Oh, it's right here. Um, let's say you wanted one entire pod was flour, one entire pod was something else, like the cinnamon, vanilla, orange peel, lemon peel, garlic. Like the options are endless. You can like basically cook little creations here inside the LÄVO. If it was honey butter, I would say leave like a little bit out at a time for 2 to 3 days at a time so the honey butter stays soft, and then put the rest in the fridge just because you don't want that butter to go bad. Okay, I see some questions coming in. Is the spinner too close if you use 2 pods? Not at all. The spinner is not too close if you use 2 pods. I'm going to try to guesstimate here. Inside the reservoir, oh, I have an extra reservoir. I can probably show you. I know it's a little hard because at an angle, but the pod, no, it doesn't work. It totally doesn't work. But here, you can see where the circle is. The circle is where the pod goes. So the pods are curved. There we go. And I'm not holding it exactly correctly. But the pods are curved. The spinner fits inside that circle. And there's a magnet inside the LÄVO keeping that spinner directly in place. So you have no risk of bumping into it. I have seen in the LÄVO Love Club that there are people who somehow fit 3 pods in here, at least just for the activation cycle. I'm pretty sure you can't have 3 pods in there while you're infusing because of that temperature thermometer that needs a place to bonk down. But absolutely, the spinner's totally fine. Double pod method is something I do every single time I infuse. And again, if you get the ultimate kit or the kitchen sink kit, it comes with that whole extra spare parts kit. So you get the 2 pods. And I was saying before, if you're going to get just a LÄVO 30% off today on Facebook or Instagram shops, if you're in the US, at least get a spare parts kit with this. If you are shopping on Facebook and it looks like you can't add multiple items to your cart, because Facebook is still testing out this live shopping thing, and we are so grateful to them for sponsoring our lives so we could kind of help them QC this process. We've learned that checking out with multiple items works better on mobile, on your phones when using Facebook, versus on desktop, some people can only check out with 1 item at a time. So if you're running into that, try on your phone or try on Instagram, same discount. And also, you won't see the discount reflected until that very last page of checkout. So when you go to our Facebook shops, or if you're clicking on a tagged product at the bottom here, and you're like, it doesn't look like it's 30% off. Just keep going through checkout until that last page of checkout, and you will totally see the 30% off reflected with the free shipping over $100 on the last page. Molly, why so low a temperature and long a time? How do you determine? So we, on our website, we've done a lot of LÄVO tests. We have a time and temperature calculator on levooil.com/calculator or /pages/calculator. And you can go to the search bar on our website and look that up. We have determined based on the oil medium of your type, whether it's MCT, butter, coconut oil, avocado oil. We also have like a coconut avocado blend, which is great. All these oils have different smoke points is what it's called. So MCT has like a medium high smoke point. Avocado oil has one of the highest smoke points. And what this determines is and for example, olive oil has an incredibly low smoke point. You actually don't want to heat olive oil very much. That helps us determine how high you should heat your oil compared to what herb you have inside. So on the time and temperature calculator, you can select your oil and you can select, is it garlic, turmeric? Is it a flower? Is it literally a flower like rose? You can totally do rose in here, or lavender, basil, stuff like that. We just have determined optimal time and temperature. For honey specifically, you want to do a low temperature just because you don't want this to turn into hard molasses. If it gets too high of a temperature with honey, and if you've ever tried to make a hard candy on the stovetop with honey, or even with sugar, if that temperature gets too high, it just burns. And so we don't want that to happen to your honey. We don't want it to get too dark because then that's basically adding carbon to your honey. It will lose its wonderful honey flavor if the temperature is too high. So we prefer low and slow for honey. Scott, you want to know how much flower can each pod hold? Great question. Each pod holds 7 grams. Every time I say this, every time I lose the pod. Each pod holds 7 grams, so I'm doing the double pod method, which is 14 grams total, except I'm not filling my pods all the way. Here we go. I left it inside. So I just did a little bit, but if it were full and you use 2, that would be 14 grams at once. And then the reservoir itself holds 2 cups of liquid. So you've got 14 grams to 2 cups of liquid. And you can absolutely use agave instead of honey. I would say same rules apply. Because honey is, whenever something is so sugary, like high in sugar content, you just don't want it to burn. We just don't want it to get to a boiling point. Otherwise your sugar is going to become caramel. And while I think caramels are fantastic to make, they're not going to dispense very easily out of your LÄVO. So that is why we just say low temperature for a longer amount of time. Again, send me your questions. I love it. It's like Jeopardy for me. This tutorial will be available later. All of our Facebook Lives are recorded. We actually have been doing them for like a month now on almost a weekly basis. Facebook Lives and then different Instagram Lives, like totally different. So if you are looking for really in-depth tutorials, watch the lives. If you just need like quick videos of like, how do I make a LÄVO gummy mix? For example, we sell gummy mixes. We have like a 5-minute video on YouTube that completely walks you through the directions on the back. I did it here on my stove. We also have a 1-hour live in which we infused a couple gummy mixes. We added our edible glitter to the gummies. We have little edible glitters over here. And I actually have some of those gummies here. We have gummy trays available, these beautiful rainbow gummy trays available on 30% off sale in our kits here on Facebook. So watch this. I'm gonna pop out one of these peach gummies I made using a LÄVO gummy mix. Potency strength will depend on the oil that you infused. These were MCT oil, which makes them really squishy, versus I actually have some cherry mix, coconut oil, they're firmer. So MCT oil makes a more squishy gummy. Coconut oil makes it firmer and adds a little bit of a tropical taste. So LÄVO makes it very easy. We have so many recipes on our blog. We have, up at the top bar, you can find recipes for what to do with your infused oil. I've been on a reel making kick on our Instagram page. I just made a honey face mask this morning. I did a tutorial on our reels where I took some of this honey and also some of the leftover flour, because don't throw your sludge, we call this sludge, or already been infused, ABI. Never throw away what's in your pod. I shouldn't say never, but there's usually a bunch of medicinal benefits in here, still strength if you're infusing flour that's left over. We have so many tips and tricks for how to reuse this. You can, some people keep it stored in like ice cube trays in their freezer so that they can reuse their sludge for a really long time. I keep mine in the fridge because I usually find ways to use it. One of our customers takes their leftover flour that they infused with honey. Then they take hot water and just pour it right into the pod as soon as they're done infusing, into a cup. That also kind of self-cleans what you just did with the honey because it's going to be really sticky in there. They let that water cool that now has flowery honey goodness. They let it totally cool, put it in the fridge once it's room temperature, and they put it in their soda stream and they make carbonated honey flower water. Because, if they were infusing honey, they probably had some lecithin in there. I love the LÄVO Love Club for tips and tricks like this. Okay, Brian asks, to get a strong infusion, can you run it through 4 pods a couple of times? We usually say not to necessarily rerun your flower-based infusions. The reason is because certain properties in flower, and again, bear with me, there's a lot of letters I can't say on Facebook Live, a lot of words I can't say on Facebook Live. So flower specifically has the 3-letter acronym that you are activating when you activate it. That 3-letter acronym, when you re-infuse, a lot of times, all that heat for a very extended period of time basically turns it into sleepy time properties. And what was a happy time properties turns into a sleepy time properties. Now, if you are wanting to fall asleep and you're making a honey infusion to put in your chamomile tea at night, go ahead and re-infuse. But again, we don't want to put honey specifically in the LÄVO for too long, just because it will really thicken up and it loses its honey deliciousness. This is just kind of specific to honey. If we were talking about butter, coconut oil, MCT oil, re-infused to your heart's content, it doesn't burn, it doesn't, the oil is fine. Someone wants to know how to make vegan gummies. Agar, and I've always seen this written. I don't know if it's agar, is a common substitute for gelatin. Someone also said sea moss, I believe you get it powdered, is also a gelatinous substitute. And maybe carrageenan, is that how you pronounce it? We might have a vegan gummy recipe on LÄVOoil.com, actually. So check that out. You would still use the same coconut oil or MCT oil, and just instead of gelatin, you're substituting it for a plant-based thickening ingredient, is basically what it is. And then the sugar is the sugar. You kind of need the sugar to make the gummies. Again, these questions are great. Keep them coming. I love it. I'm just looking through some comments here. But so go ahead, my customer service team, my coworkers are going to help me flag some comments too. In the comments, let me know if you have ever infused honey before, or if you've infused other things. I always love to ask this question during our lives because people will pipe up and be like, oh, I just did a coconut oil, cayenne pepper, flour, magnesium infusion that I've been using as a muscle relaxer. And I'm like, wow, please write that into a recipe for us. That sounds so good. Or people will make, really wonderful, like with honey, you can do garlic honey and coat that on something that you're going to grill this summer, perhaps. Infusion is just such a staple in what chefs do, especially high-end restaurants. You're like, this seems like such a simple dish. How did they make it so special? A lot of times infusion is the secret, and they're starting with an infused oil, and that's just what gives this dish so much flavor, even when it looks so simple. You can totally do that at home using LÄVO yourself. And also, if you do, please let us know what you did. Because we have the LÄVO Love Club, as I mentioned at the top, over 12,000 happy members in it who share tips and tricks all the time, which I absolutely love. Again, if you are also just joining us, LÄVO, our accessories, like for example, our herb block trays for storing your 2 cups in, our gummy trays for making all kinds of delicious, your own edible gummies. Good thing I don't have a dog. I'm always dropping gummies during these things. Our kits are on sale. You can make MCT oil infusions, coconut oil infusions. You make these infusions to eat, to mix into other foods, to just take a dropper of and put an MCT oil infusion in your morning coffee or in a smoothie. I always go over how this is my topical coconut oil infusion. It is a flower-based infusion which has anti-inflammatory properties for when you are having, neck problems. I don't know what it is. I'm getting a little older, guys, but sometimes my hands hurt just from being on the computer all day, and I just I'll like scrape this coconut oil into little bitty bits, and then I just put some in my hand. It's like such a little bit, dust, and I basically just use it like a lotion because coconut oil will just pretty much instantly melt once it hits your skin. And I swear the pain properties in this are just truly amazing, truly plant-based magic. Will make you feel great. And you know, that's how I use it, especially as a mom of little kiddos. I'm not necessarily looking for party times with my infusions, sometimes maybe on the weekends. But really, I'm using LÄVO infusions for a holistic, healthy, pain relief, sleepy time routine for me personally. But people use herbal infusions for all kinds of things. We have small business owners who use LÄVO to make wonderful things that they sell, including soaps. Even beeswax can go inside of here and make candles. Really, so many use cases. Gwen wants to know, can I use like truffle oil to make my infusions? You can absolutely put like true truffles into the LÄVO, absolutely. Mushrooms, root, like different root vegetables, things like that, anything that's going to impart flavor, totally put it in here with the oil. Yes, you can totally make that kind of infusion. I know I just said mushrooms. That's a topic for maybe something I can't talk about. But I would not suggest LÄVO with all kinds of mushrooms, since some kinds of mushrooms respond better to water. But in terms of herbs, garlic, truffles, porcini mushrooms, portobello mushrooms, shiitake mushrooms, by all means, make an oil out of that. Now I'm like having a great time with my coconut oil infusion on my hands because I also think it smells great. I also want to talk about this herb press for honey infusions specifically. When this is done, and you know, mine's still, it tells you how much time is left. It's a great little thing, so I still have 2.5 hours left. But when this is done and your pod is filled with sticky, honey-filled herbs, the herb press is great because you need to really press down on those herbs. That's why we call it the herb press. And the honey is going to come and flow right out. I'm going to do this like with the lid open when it's done. Press out the honey just to get it all out. I also have totally forgotten to mention that when this infusion is done at a very low temperature, we've been infusing 95 to 105 degrees, you do want to bump that temperature up to 115 degrees just for like the last 5 minutes of the infusion. And that's just because honey is so thick that it makes it a lot easier. Can I show you guys the bottom of this? There's a little dispense mode. There we go. There's a little dispensing hole right here that you just put a jar underneath, as I did this when I literally did this on Wednesday. You press this dispense button and the honey's going to come out. You just want to increase that temperature to 115 degrees just to speed up the dispensing. That's why you do that. You don't want to infuse the whole time because, again, you don't want to destroy the flavors of the honey, and you don't ever want honey to get anywhere close to boiling because it just makes it so much thicker, kind of turns it into like a molasses caramel. And that's why we're so gentle with honey. And again, I said if this were a flower infusion, I absolutely would be adding lecithin, and not only that, but I would probably add a good chunk, a tablespoon of coconut oil or MCT oil to my honey, and that's because honey doesn't contain fats, which specifically flower as an herb needs to bind to. And when I say flower, I'm not referring to rose or lavender, like those kinds of flowers. I'm referring to medicinal flower. I see that we have a question. Okay, this one's like a riddle because there's so many things I can't say. If I want more of an upper in my flower over a sleepy time, so they're talking about the effects of the flower that they're feeling in their oil or butter afterwards. Is it the kind of flower or how it's activated? It is the kind of flower, and your person at a store who sells you the flower can absolutely go over that. It's partly the flower. It's actually not necessarily the activation versus how long it's infusing for. It's kind of a combination of both. But you don't want to you certainly don't want to overheat your flower with the activate cycle. So our LÄVOs come with a default activate cycle, meaning that's what we have found works best with flower. So when you press activate, it is going to warm up for about 10 minutes. Put your pod in as it's warming up versus an oven. When your oven is preheating, you know, recipes say don't put your food into the oven until it's done preheating. With LÄVO, you actually do want to put your pot in while it's warming up. We've kind of accounted for that time. Some people like to alter their activate time and temperature, and you absolutely still can do that with LÄVO II. But I would also say, in regard to the upper versus sleepy time flower, don't use old flour that's like sat in your closet for months, because flour naturally oxidizes over time and degrades into sleepy time flour. So I totally love to nerd out on these kinds of questions. I can't necessarily do so in a Facebook Live medium, but if you want to know more about this, I would say join the LÄVO Love Club, because it's a private Facebook group in which we can talk about these things together. We can't necessarily talk about it on our website or on a live, or honestly, even as a social media post. There's just still a lot of regulations in place. But we also absolutely love being a source of information. So head over to the LÄVO Love Club, and we would just love to nerd out with you guys about this. And our members are just, some of them are such experts, and I learn so much every day. So again, this oil, not honey, but if I were infusing coconut oil today, and in past lives, I've infused the oil to make gummies. We made these peach gummies. Ooh, we're gonna do a poll. Yeah, please let me know if you want to see what next for LÄVO Live. We've been doing a lot of these lives. Do you want to see beauty tutorials? Like I was saying, if you head to Instagram today, I just posted a face mask tutorial. We could do more cooking. We've totally done gummy tutorials on LÄVO Live. We made a giant gummy bear last Wednesday where we layered in nerds, and it was like a really big gummy bear. We took bites of its face. That my coworkers were over. That was really fun. Or we could do some kind of learning live where, again, we can't always say what we want to say, but maybe there's still a lot we can say, wink, wink, to you guys, and teach you. We're very responsive at LÄVO. Like I said, we are a very small team, so we're very responsive to what people want to know. We really are watching and reading. Amanda asks, I tried to add fruit to my honey and it was very soupy. Do I have any suggestions? It sounds like maybe the fruit wasn't dried enough, if I had to guess. LÄVO does have a dry mode. I guess you could always buy fruits that are pre-dried. There's totally dried fruits, or even like mango leather, stuff like that. That would totally work if you like chopped it up into a pod and put it in there. And it was soupy, so I'm guessing the honey was like very liquidy. It just sounds like there was moisture in the fruit. If you were infusing anything, basil, parsley, the thing about flour you buy from the store is that it's already dried. So that's like kind of one of the easiest things. But when you're using fresh herbs, you do want them to be really dry before you put them inside of a LÄVO. And that's because anytime you're adding moisture to, say, honey, even butter, oil, you are introducing a risk of bacteria. So you can always keep it we always say to keep your infusions in the fridge, just to be safe. Same with gummies. Our gummy molds come with these lids. Just keep them. Make your gummies, pour them into these molds. I always keep them in the fridge, have one a night. The gummies, we come with 2 at a time, so that makes 64 gummies with our one mix. Well, where did I put the mix? I don't know where I put the mix every time. With one mix, 2 trays make 64 gummies. Just keep that stuff in the fridge. And I'm guessing that's why the fruit and the honey became soupy. Or was it in the pods? Was the fruit inside of the, make sure that everything's inside of the pods also keeps plant matter from kind of degrading oil or honey or butter, anything like that. The pods are very nice for that. I don't know if you can tell, but this LÄVO has been on and infusing as I've been speaking. I never know what you can hear. It's quiet right now, and I wonder if you can hear it. Every so often, the stirrer mixes, and it makes a little sound. And it still hasn't done it yet. But compared to other infusion machines out there, LÄVO is so whisper quiet. It is very discreet. Whereas, you know, some other infusion machines out there are like, Martha, what is this? Martha wants to know what this is. Martha, we just did a live honey herbal infusion with LÄVO II. And what LÄVO II is it's the only all-in-one infusion machine out there, 3-in-1, all-in-one. It dries herbs, dries your honey, parsley, even garlic. It activates certain other medicinal flower that brings out these certain properties that you're trying to feel from that flower. And right now we are infusing, and with infusing, you can take any oil, coconut oil, butter. We are doing honey right now, avocado oil. This was a past oil I did. And we're taking the flavor and properties of herbs and low and slow, all in one machine with minimal smell and all dishwasher safe parts, infusing and then dispensing with one button a finished product. And by finished product, I mean the infused oil. Obviously, you can take infused oil, as I was describing earlier. This is medicinal flower infused into coconut oil that you can use as a topical, like a lotion, face mask for beauty. Most people use it to make, let's say, magical brownies. We do have baking mixes, and our 3 baking mixes are 30% off right now on our Facebook shop to our US residents. We have some wake and bake brownies, magical brownies, wake and bake pancake mix, and also a delightful cookie mix. You can share these with your friends. LÄVO makes it very easy to create fun, magical creations for you. With our gummy mixes, we also have a 3-pack of these sour sugars. They are basically like pixie sticks. This is watermelon sour powder. And then when you're done making your gummies, you can pop them out and roll them in these sour sugars. We have watermelon, we have a blue raspberry, and just unflavored sour sugars. These are brand new. They are super fun to add flavor and like a tart punch to your gummies. Everything's 30% off. All our kits are 30% off on Facebook and Instagram. And today, well, 2 days ago, but including today through the end of this month, we have 40% off our kitchen sink kit. And our kitchen sink kit is almost everything we sell, but definitely the most important stuff. All the baking mixes, 3 of our gummy mixes, all the oils, 3 of our oils, spare parts, gummy trays, our herb block trays, just really fun accessories like our infusion sprayer. This one's really fun. Kitchen sink kit comes with all of it, and it's 40% off. And we are pinning products to the bottom of this live if you're watching in full screen mode. Scott wants to know, when will we be getting the T-Check bundle back in stock with the LÄVO II? Holy cow, this bundle, guys, has been so popular that it keeps selling out. We're working with T-Checks, which is a strength testing machine. And every time we work with them and we're like, oh yes, they gave us 30 more T-Checks, because they're making them as fast as they can, and then they're giving them to us as fast as they can. We sell out within hours without even announcing it. So we are working on getting so many T-Checks back in stock. Sign up for our emails or SMS on LÄVOoil.com. You can sign up, and we will update you once like a chunk is back in stock. We're totally going to send out an email and text blast because we know so many people want that back. Angela wants to know if she has to refrigerate MCT infused oil that was made with flour. I would say go ahead and do it. MCT oil, this is MCT oil, and I keep this one in the fridge. This is our LÄVO oil sprayer, which you pump the cap, and then I wonder if you can actually see in the light. You probably can't see. It sprays a fine mist of oil that's now a little bit on my floor, but that's fine. I keep that in the fridge. MCT oil will not solidify, so you can totally keep MCT oil in the fridge. Same with this one. This is my flower MCT oil infusion that I made with LÄVO. I keep it in the fridge, stays like this. Why not? Extends the shelf life, makes peace of mind, no mold's gonna grow there. Someone wants to know if all the oils are organic. Our coconut oil, virgin coconut oil, this guy is certified organic. Not the MCT oil or the coconut avocado oil, because this has MCT in it. We always strive to go organic whenever we can. For example, our brownie mix is also certified organic. So whenever we can source organic ingredients, we totally go for it. So if you're looking for organic, I would say get the brownie mix and make it with the organic coconut oil if that is your jam. I totally respect that and love it. Our wake and bake pancakes, I'm just going to talk about our baking mixes for a second. These are so easy to make. You just add an egg, some water, and the mix, and then a tablespoon of infused butter or oil, and a cup of mix, and you just make your own infused pancakes, and they have all natural confetti sprinkles inside. We always try to go all natural. Our gummy mixes are all natural color and flavor. There's no artificial colors or flavors, no red or blue lake or, yellow number 4. None of that's in these. Same with our baking mixes. And again, if you are just joining us, new viewers, hello. We are LÄVO. LÄVO is an all-in-one infusion machine. We've been infusing honey today. So I've been taking honey. It's inside of this machine, which is quietly mixing it and infusing it with herbs. I'm using family-friendly herbs today, chamomile, peppermint, some other things. But a lot of people like to use LÄVO to make special magical oils and butter with special flour. LÄVOs are 30% off. All of our LÄVO are solo LÄVOs and our LÄVO kits, which kits are, you're already getting a deal. If you go to our 30% off page and you'll see like 15% off. That's because all of our kits are already a deal, like 10 or 15% off. But once you go through Facebook checkout, you will also get an additional 30% off those kits. So an even bigger savings that ends up being, 40 to 45% off from the original price. That is for US customers on Facebook shops and Instagram shops. And we also have 40% off our kitchen sink kits just through the end of this month. We are ending our special April sale. LÄVO is a machine that is used for special herbs. So April has been an especially nice month for us. We all like to celebrate last Wednesday, for example. And that's why we are having this sale. We are able to go 30 to 40% off because Facebook, Meta, Instagram, they have been sponsoring our sale. That's why we've never gone this low before. And when this ends, we will not go this low again. So if you have been questioning herbal infusion, then now is the time, because LÄVO has a 30-day return policy. We get very few returns. People absolutely love LÄVO. We have on our website over 2,500 reviews that you can absolutely read, positive reviews. Last year, we were on the Price is Right 3 times. That was really fun. And we are Good Housekeeping certified, tested, and approved. That was like a rigorous application through Good Housekeeping, where they have a team of like kitchen scientist magicians who test products, and they need to like sign off, and we got that. So LÄVO is a truly premium infusion device. If you've ever tried to infuse on a stove top, especially with oil, not only is it smelly and oil splatters everywhere, but it's a fire hazard. We're trying to solve for that. We don't want that to happen. If you've ever tried to activate medicinal herbs in your oven, you will know that your neighbors can smell it. Someone will walk up to the front of your house and be like, I know what they're doing in there. LÄVO absolutely solves for that also. If you've ever tried to infuse in a crock pot with herbs or other infusion devices, you still need cheesecloth or a strainer and like to manually have gloves on because it's really hot and squeeze out your infusion. LÄVO solves for that too, because inside of our infusion machine is a ceramic coated reservoir that has a drain tube. All of these parts come off, come out, they're all dishwasher safe. So here's a little tube that's inside this machine. And that means once my honey, butter, oil, anything is done infusing, I literally just press this button. And because these pods with little holes, you can kind of see, these pods have little holes. These pods are inside of the reservoirs. Because the herb is contained inside of here, you can just press a button and dispense. And then this was my honey from Wednesday that I made with my herbs. It's ready to use. It's ready to use in magical brownies, gummies, by itself. Put some of this honey in some tea. I was saying that earlier today, I made an all-natural honey face mask, like with Moroccan red clay, honey, extra coconut oil, and I actually used my leftover herb, which is, some people know it's called sludge. My leftover herb, I dumped it out, and I took it and I ground it up with my clay, just in my hands. I just kind of smushed it up with my clay and honey and coconut oil, and that's a great exfoliant because flour is also anti-inflammatory, so it reduces redness. Melanie says, I bought the kitchen sink and want to make honey. What did you add to honey? So to my honey, if you're infusing flour, so because I'm infusing family-friendly herbs today, they don't need a fat to bind to infuse into anything. So I've just got my coconut oil, my honey in here. I did add a heaping teaspoon of coconut oil to my honey just to like kind of thin it out. But that's also something I would suggest doing with flour. And also a teaspoon to 2 teaspoons of sunflower lecithin. We sell sunflower lecithin. There we go. We do sell this. It is unbleached, and we kind of like it better than, say, a granulated powdered lecithin or a soy lecithin, which can be kind of hard to digest, and a lot of people have allergies to soy. So we have a sunflower lecithin, and it's already liquid. It just makes it a lot easier to mix in there. Also, Melanie, thank you for getting a kitchen sink. I hope you love it. If you haven't already joined the LÄVO Love Club private Facebook group, totally go on there because there's a search bar at the top, and our fans and customers are so helpful. They're so supportive and positive of other people's infusions. If you ever, tried to make a gummy mix, say, and didn't mix enough and the oil separated, the LÄVO Love Club is there for you, and they'll tell you exactly how to remelt that gummy mix back down. It's not ruined. You can totally still make gummies with it. We are here to help, and just, here's an example. Here's my little stash of LÄVO Live Facebook gummies that I've been showing. We also sell edible glitter. I have a glittery gummy right here. We sell golden edible glitter. And we also sell this infusion shimmer. Ooh, it makes your oil look like potions, like witchy potions, which is always really fun. You could totally put that in your honey too. And with that, I know we are a little past the hour. Please let me know if you have any more questions that I can answer live for you. But one more time with the honey, this has been infusing at 105 degrees. It's going to go for 2 hours, 45 minutes, mine specifically. You can totally go as low as 90 degrees. When it's ready to dispense, I'm going to pop this temperature up to 115 degrees just to make it more viscous so it can come out. If you left the house and your LÄVO, automatically stopped and it's been sitting there for a few hours and it totally cooled down, you can absolutely turn it back on to infuse again at 115 degrees and it will dispense easily. That's not a problem to leave it sitting there. It'll turn itself off. Sharing is Caring kit is one kit that I have not gone over. We have these adorable new, the Sharing is Caring kit is also for sale, 30% off. It's these small bags and large bags. You get 50 of each. You also get a heat sealer. So the Sharing is Caring kit is one heat sealer, 50 large bags for say brownies, and 50 small bags for say like 3 or 4 gummies at a time that you would like to share with your friends. Literally make gifts with LÄVO. LÄVO is a great to gift to someone else. It's great to gift for yourself, but it's also, once you have a LÄVO, make gifts for other people. I have said on this before, one time I made a rosemary MCT oil infusion during one of these Facebook Lives. I walked to my neighbor's house and gave her that rosemary MCT oil infusion because she loves baking and cooking as a thank you for watching my kids one day. So let me show you how this Sharing is Caring kit works. You can do the same thing with sharing your brownies, cookies, gummies. So here is the heat sealer. Turn it on, it lights up. See how that has a light? It's not hot yet until you clamp down. Clamping down heats it up. And these bags are sealable. I'm trying to think of where I put, here we go. I can show you a bag that I haven't opened yet. So look how cute. Look how cute. So I'm gonna take a bag out of here. There are 50 bags in here. Ta-ba-da. We got these little LÄVO bags. They open up like this. You can fill them with whatever you want. Let's say I'm going out tomorrow and I'm gonna meet a lot of friends. So, let me see, I've got my gummies. I'm gonna put my gummies and I wanna really impress my friends and make everyone love me. So I mean, as if they already don't, but if they didn't, then, or if I want them to love me more, I'm going to put them in this bag and you clamp down, and not for too long because it is heating up, and you just slide across the top, and I have like a little corner there that I didn't get to. And that's it. These are sealed now. They won't come out. and they're like sealed from the elements. And I can now give this to my friend. Boop. And they're gonna like my gummies. That's how we are at LÄVO. That was because we were always sharing things with our friends, and we were like, it'd be great if we had a way to like officially do this. Molly wants to know, should I use separate kits for flour versus other stuff, or is washing in between enough? Thank you so much for touching on this, Molly. I love a spare parts kit exactly for this point. Flour, medicinal flour, has, as a lot of you know, a very strong smell, a very strong taste compared to other herbs. And I would also say, even if you wash, especially, it's something about the pods, like all the little holes, no matter how many times I wash these, if I've used them with flowers specifically, I can usually tell. I can usually smell them and tell. I don't think the certain properties about that flour are still in here, but as a mom with 2 kids, and I like to make cinnamon milk, you can totally put milk in here, by the way, or heavy cream. I love to have separate kits, separate spare parts kits, tongue twister. And that way I have like my family-friendly herbs, which are in here right now, that I'll infuse, and then my adult flower use kit. I'd say like get at least 1 spare parts kit, depending on how often you're gonna infuse for. I just think you can never have enough. Why not? When to add the shimmer to the honey, Diane, great question. You can totally add shimmer while you are infusing into the honey. Or maybe like in the last 5 minutes if you wanted to, when you're gonna pop that temperature up to 115 degrees before you dispense, totally add some shimmer. Here I have this shimmer, makes it like beautiful and creamy. And wouldn't that be like a fun gift? You know, like those little honey jars that you get at hotels? I just think you could make like special flower infused honey and put them into so many little jars for your friends. This is our infusion shimmer. It's pearly white. Here, a little goes a long way. Can you see that on my, like, even rubbed off on the bottom there? Not only do these make like a fun, and then if I rub it, can you see how it's just like so shimmery? This makes a great body glitter. If you are like me and you like to make coconut oil lotion, throw some shimmer in there or some edible glitter, and boom, you've got your own DIY body shimmer. And it's safe. You can put it on your face because it's edible. I want to show you the gold glitter. I just put the teeniest bit on my finger there. So look at that difference. Shimmer, glitter. and here you go, it's gold. We also have these in red and pink. So we have them both ways. Oh my gosh, they're so cute. All right, guys, any last questions? Yes, there are last questions. Can you mix honey with Epsom salts to make a great body Oh, she's telling me, she's not asking me. Great suggestion, Mary Jane. You can mix honey with Epsom salts to make a great body recovery scrub for neck and shoulders and back pains without taking a bath rinse in a hot shower. Thank you for that. My husband loves Epsom salts and I am absolutely stealing this, especially because I've just made so much infused honey this week. I'm totally taking that tip. Thank you so much. Oh my God, I love when you guys have tips and tricks for us. So on Instagram, because I infused honey on Wednesday, I already put up a video of what dispensing was like, how I popped the temperature up to 115 degrees, just what it looked like when it came out. We can totally share that on our LÄVO Facebook page after this, if it's not already there. It might actually already be there. And then I also did a reel on Instagram where I took the leftover flower, the sludge that's in here. It's not medicinal flower. It's chamomile flower, peppermint, eucalyptus, and honeybush is what I have infusing into my honey right now. And I show what it looks like when it comes out of the pods, and I actually made a tea with it, totally family-friendly tea, shared it with my kiddo, and I have a reel of that too, just that little how-to tutorial. You can absolutely make herbal tea with adult use flower. There are so many great ways to reuse that flour so that you're not tossing something that still has nutritional value and strength, like strength that you can feel, that kind of potency. One tip that I love is to take the flour with like a brownie mix and literally blend it either in a food processor or a blender, or I'm sure you could do it with a fork. Mix it up with the brownie mix, then add the oil to the brownies per the instructions, and then you have like triple strength magical brownies to share with your friends. So that's a really great tip and trick, and we have more of those tips at LäVOoil.com. And again, 30% off LÄVO, 30% off kits. We've been pinning products to the bottom here. 40% off our kitchen sink kit, which is our biggest bang for your buck kit. Honestly, if you can swing a 40% off kitchen sink kit, do it, because you get all the baking mixes, all the gummy mixes, all the accessories, the spare parts, oils, so that once the package is delivered to you, you already have oil there, months of oils, months of gummy mixes, and honestly, you won't even have to go to the store except to buy the herbs. And that's about it, guys. Thank you so much, especially for everyone who stayed and went a little bit over with me. Join the LÄVO Love Club. If you, okay, sorry, one more thing. I know I just keep having ideas. If you purchase even on Facebook, even on Instagram, or our website, you have automatically earned LÄVO loyalty points, whether you signed up or not. And the really cool thing is that those points are retroactive. So if you haven't signed up at LäVOoil.com and made an account, like a LÄVO rewards account, don't sweat it. If you've already purchased, you can make an account today, even if you purchased 2 months ago, and your points are still there waiting for you. you can redeem those points. So after you purchase a LÄVO, it takes like 45 days to redeem those points. And that's just because we want it to be after the delivery period and after the return window. So if you've kept your LÄVO, you get reward points. You can cash those in for free oils like our, free coconut oil. You can cash it in for a free gummy mix, for a free infusion sprayer. We have all kinds of fun rewards in there. So if you're purchasing today, if you purchased in the past, if you're purchasing before the sale ends at the end of the month, sign up for an account on LÄVOoil.com. It is free to join. You get free points. Why not? And then if you're someone watching who uses LÄVO and loves LÄVO and you're telling your friends about it, because honestly, word of mouth is probably the number way people love LÄVO. You also, when you have a reward account, you get a unique sharing URL. There's like a little refer a friend section. You get your own unique link. You can share that on Facebook, Instagram, in an email, on a blog. And anyone who purchases with that link, they get $25 off their purchase, I believe. And you get 2,500 points, which is, referring friends is the most points you can get. And are points retroactive even after a year or more? Points expire 1 year after you've earned them. But that's okay because we haven't even had this loyalty program for a year. So even the people who started earning points, I think it started last August, they can still use their points. And if you made a purchase before this loyalty program and you're like, oh, I wish I had the 500 points from that purchase, honestly, reach out to customer service. We want you guys to be rewarded and happy. They can absolutely give you those points. And is that it? Have we had any other questions? How do you make tinctures? I will keep going. I'll just keep going as long as you guys keep having questions until I have to get my kids from school. Someone wants to know how to make tinctures, which is a great question. We suggest making tinctures either with MCT oil or with glycerin, not with alcohol. And the reason is that you shouldn't even make a flower-based alcohol tincture on the stovetop, because if you've ever been to a hibachi restaurant and they throw the alcohol on the onions and it poofs up into a flame, that can happen on the stovetop. That can happen in a LÄVO. You just shouldn't expose alcohol to heat. So that is why we say no alcohol in here. Instead, use MCT oil or glycerin. And I said this on maybe my Wednesday Instagram Live. Before I came to LÄVO, I was actually working for a company that made like certain kind of hemp-based tinctures, and we always made them MCT oil-based. It's just such a superfood. It's keto-friendly and stays liquid at room temperature, and has like caprylic acid in it and capric acid. It's just really good for your digestive health. So if you're going to be having a tincture every day, it might as well be an MCT oil tincture, because then you get the added benefits of the MCTs and the flower. And with the honey, we also have 30% off. We have 2 new granola mixes. You can get these on the sale. They come 2. We have this vanilla caramel crunch and a cinnamon coconut pecan. And they make like either granola bar sized chunks, or if you stir while it's baking on the baking pan, like little granola for your yogurt. I did it 2 ways. This is really wonderful. Talk about all natural. There are only natural ingredients in here, no preservatives at all. Oats, sunflower seeds, hemp seeds, pumpkin seeds, chia seeds, sea salt, natural caramel flavor, natural vanilla flavor. That's what's in here. Then you add coconut oil, maple syrup, and infused oil. But the coconut oil that you add and the maple syrup can both be infused, plus more infused oil. Sorry, I was wrong. These are not on sale on Facebook and Instagram, but they are on our website. And you can still earn points for them. You get to earn points from everything. But this is this granola mix. It's delicious, but it's a great use for infused honey. So as we're talking about infused honey, if you're like, Okay, but what do I use infused honey for? A little bit in the morning on some granola and some yogurt, obviously tea. Then we were talking about all the topical uses, the lotions, the face masks, the like pain relief kind of creams. And if you have any suggestions for how to use infused honey in the comments, you guys are having really great suggestions today, so I'd love to hear it. Like that Epsom salt comment, that was brilliant. All right, so follow up on our LÄVO page if you want to see what it's like to dispense this honey at 115 degrees. Again, we've been infusing honey, as you can see, at 105 degrees. LÄVO tells you how much longer is left. It tells you what mode it is on. It will make an adorable little sound when it is done infusing. one of my favorite parts. If you already have a LÄVO and you just, and you still want to shop the sale, we have our gummy mix kits, our 3-packs, 4-packs. Those are on sale right now. Our baking mix trio, where you already, without a sale, you were already getting one of those mixes for free. That's also 30% off. So you just save even more. We have accessory kits, like the Mega Accessory Kit is on sale 30% off, which is, everything in our Ultimate Kit without a LÄVO. So if you already have a LÄVO, but you only have a LÄVO, get the Mega Accessory Kit because you get a sprayer, a spare parts kit, an herb block tray, 2 gummy trays. We also have like a LÄVO Plus gummy mix kit where you get a LÄVO, you get MCT oil, and you get the gummy mixes. That's 30% off. So just making it, again, as easy as possible for you to hop onto the infusion pathway, the infusion journey with us, because we're into plants, we're plant people, we're into natural health. I didn't even have a gummy yet, guys. And we just really believe in that here at LÄVO, all natural wellness. And LÄVO is a nice, sustainable way that actually pays for itself after just maybe a month of uses. In terms of if you're used to buying gummies, gummy edibles at the store, pre-made, not only do the gummies that you're buying have preservatives in them, artificial colors, artificial flavors, and with LÄVO you control what goes in your body, and these are all natural. But when you use LÄVO, and if you were to use like shake instead of flour, for example, you will save so much money by making the oil at home yourself versus buying it on a weekly, monthly basis, whatever your cadence is. You control the strength, you control how you're using it, what you're buying, and that's really what LÄVO is all about. And that's about it, guys. Thank you so, so much for tuning in with me for how to infuse honey. We have way more videos saved. We've been doing these live videos for over a month now. So whether you want to watch us make a gummy mix, make a giant gummy bear, make brownies, we have done it all either on Facebook or Instagram. And we look forward to seeing you again. Not sure when the next one of these will be, but we will keep you posted on email or text. So sign up at LÄVOoil.com. Again, sign up for that loyalty program. Even if you don't have a LÄVO, you can be referring people to LÄVO and getting rewards. All right, guys, that's it for me. I'm Kat at LÄVO. Thank you so, so much for tuning in for almost an hour and a half. I always enjoy this, and I will see you guys later. Bye.